Josh and Anna, as you enter the sacred institution of marriage, do you commit to love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength? Joshua, placing yourself under the headship of Christ, faithful to lead Anna in the ways of the Lord as her priest and provider. Anna, placing yourself under the leadership of Joshua, submitting to his authority as his helpmeet, being loyal, supportive.
Hey everyone, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I have to do things a little bit differently today because my camera, my normal camera that I use, the cord broke, which ended me up in this like rabbit hole. Do you ever have a technical difficulty and then you're dealing with your technical difficulty and you're like, maybe it's time for me to upgrade all of my equipment. One of the things that I've been getting a lot of feedback on is my camera quality. I have a high quality camcorder, but I think I need something a little bit more. So I went ahead and got a new camcorder, and in the meantime, I'm using my webcam, which I apologize ahead of time if it's not the best quality. So we are going to talk today about a motion that was filed in court for Josh Duggar, and it relates to his attempts to only get sentenced to 5 years. Earlier this week, or yesterday actually, I read to you the letter that Anna Duggar had written to the judge about her husband, Josh. In the letter, she talked about how she relies on her husband financially and that because he is their sole provider, they need him home soon because they rely on him for everything. So I was thinking about how the letters were going on and on and on about how he needs to be by his kids. And a lot of you in my comments were like, the point is actually that he shouldn't be around kids. That's kind of the point. So telling us that he's around kids a lot isn't going to really help the case with the judge. You know, I guess it depends on what side of the coin that you sit on, that Josh is guilty or that a shady former friend did this to him because of his reality television fame. Because that's sort of the direction that his defense is going, is that the reason why all of this happened is because, you know, someone used his fame against him, and now he's dealing with the aftermath, and he understands that he has to be sentenced, but he's going to maintain his innocence. In Anna's letter, I noticed that she didn't talk a lot about her relationship with her husband, and that I think was actually strategic because in the actual arguments that his team made to the court, they're arguing that there's this one stipulation that if somebody is the only breadwinner and they have children, they should get a reduced sentence. So the reason why a lot of these letters were focusing on his benevolence and how much he's like, how great he is as a person is because his defense is basically arguing that people that go into court that are like really good people and have done a lot for the community, this can be considered benevolence, and the court might consider a lesser sentence to someone who's considered benevolent. The fact that he is routinely helping other people, paying for people, you know, doing acts of charity, he's considered benevolent according to his defense, which I think, you know, I don't know about that. For instance, they say, Anna describes her husband as considerate, respectful, quick to forgive, patient, genuine, and the kindest person I know. She shares that he is an engaged dad who gladly throws a football with his sons and listens to our daughters play a new song they have learned on the piano and helps answer homework questions or lends a hand sweeping up spilled crackers. He is a kind and loving and supportive, caring father and husband, his primary focus in life. And then they said that Anna is not alone in their reflections of him. Instead, her observations are corroborated by many other letters for this court's consideration. And they go into how Nicole, his neighbor, she basically claims that, Josh's life pursuit has been raising a delightful family. He has been diligent to raise extraordinary children. His kids are very sad that they're not at home. Another friend said that when you see the family together, you witness the genuine love that they share for one another, the kids roaming around and playing, but always returning to their daddy for guidance. Anna's father said he's truly a fantastic daddy and he truly loves his family. Joshua is a loving and patient man, striving to be a blessing and to provide for a family. He has also spent quality time with his wife and children, learning life skills and going on family outings. Side by side, Joshua and his family have built forts, learned how to work on bicycles, vehicles, gone camping, hiked, fished, and played countless games and sports. That was from his mom. Okay. So it says, in addition to being a wonderful father and husband, mind you, they haven't mentioned anything to do with Ashley Madison. He says that what stands out about Duggar is that his extents to he has selflessly for decades served others, not only financially, but with actual boots on the ground. Now it almost feels like everything that Josh is doing is because he needs to offset what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? So they bring up the fact that Anna notes that Duggar is a man who frequently volunteers his time, services, and resources, striving to contribute to our community and people in need. She explains that a close friend of theirs, Denise, is being basically financially supported by them. So because he is such a giving person and he's always helping the community, they say that his generosity comes, naturally. He's always helping people. He's such an encourager. He's caring for the well-being of all of those people around them. It says, at his core, Duggar is a good person who cares deeply for the well-being of those around him. These stories and the many others contained within the letters submitted for this court's consideration reflect a lifetime of charitable acts and good citizenship, and this should factor into the court's determination for the appropriate sentence in this case. And it says federal courts routinely recognize a defendant's record of charity and benevolence as warranting a reduced sentence. Okay, so because he's done some charity work, paid for bills for Denise, helped Nicole when she was pregnant, and is constantly helping other people, that means he should spend less time behind bars, according to them. All right. In this case, they're also negating the fact that he has other things that have happened in his life that he's not talking about, like, that he cheated on his wife when they were in Washington, D.C., that was a lot of cheating that happened there. There was the dancer that was in Pennsylvania that filed a lawsuit against him, which was not a part of this case. What happened with the 4 minor girls along with the babysitter. And then you're also talking about how, he was in Reformers Unanimous in 2016. And none of that was brought up at all in this case in terms of him not being the best husband and being an absent father for a period of time. I mean, he was away for 6 months to a year after all of that stuff happened with Ashley Madison. And then on top of that, just because someone is benevolent and does good things doesn't mean that they don't do bad things. Benevolence doesn't outweigh the bad that has happened. If you look at it from a context of the types of people that he is and the kind of person he is, he's actually the perfect person of what he's being accused of being. That's what they do. They help other people. They get involved with children. They volunteer. They give gifts to people because they want to look like good people. They're good at being chameleons. In fact, his cousin said it best. ABUSEERs are not all shady men lurking in alleyways. They are amongst your friends, classmates, coworkers, family. They are sociable, well-liked, charismatic, charming even, making it that much more important to act accordingly when outed. Amy also said, first of all, Josh is funny, charismatic, kind, and all of the things my aunt listed in the letter. But there's a sinister side, a side to him that makes your skin crawl. You can't ignore what he did years ago and what he was caught looking at. Are you delusional? It's true. A lot of people like Josh actually fall into the category of having that charismatic side because they wouldn't be able to get away with what they do if they weren't. So they want his benevolence to be included, which is why we were seeing so much of him being such a good person, okay? Now, the other thing that they want is they want to be able to get an extenuating circumstance for an extraordinarily family circumstance. And they're asking for this to be a basis for the downward departure. And why they're saying this is because Anna doesn't work, and so he needs to actually help his family. So this is what it says. It says, each and every letter submitted for this court's consideration makes clear that Duggar cares deeply for his wife and for his children. While the reality that Duggar is going to be sentenced to federal prison is undoubtedly frightening for him, it has paralyzed his family with fear. As Anna explains, my children and I rely on Joshua for financial, emotional, and physical support. David Wallard notes that he heard Duggar's children cry themselves to sleep wanting their daddy to be home. And respectfully ask the courts to consider how much his wife and 7 children need him in their lives to be nearby for visits, accessible for communication, and brought back home to provide not just the financial but spiritual guidance of the family. Stated simply, any punishment imposed on Duggar is punishment imposed on his family. Now, I agree, it's not fair what's happening to his kids. I think of it in this way. When Teresa and Joe Giudice were sentenced for fraud, they actually did consecutive sentences. So Teresa served first and then Joe served because they needed to have one parent at home with the kids. But as long as one parent was home with the kids, it was fine. And while Joe was incarcerated, Teresa had to work. So their argument here is that Anna doesn't work. And so it's Josh's responsibility to work. It actually infuriates me, but they give a bunch of arguments about family members that have kids and they're single parents and blah, 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 blah. And so they need less time behind so they can take care of the kids. But their request is that given that Duggar has 7 children and provides essential daily care and is the sole provider for the family, he respectfully requests that this court take this extraordinary family circumstance into consideration when fashioning an appropriate sentence under this section. Factors, especially because this court can impose conditions of supervised release in lieu of a prolonged prison sentence. The bottom line is that Duggar's family and friends, the people who know him best, remain extremely supportive while fully aware of the conviction that brings him before the court. And that speaks of the character of any person. Duggar has immense support that will enable him to make the most of the rest of his life, to work hard to ensure his children's lives are impacted as little as possible by the situation he finds himself in. So because he is the sole provider and because Anna is not working, they claim that he needs an extenuating family circumstance. And so that's why Anna was going on and on and on about how she depends on him financially. Here's the thing. Just because a child depends on another parent financially doesn't mean that sentencing for a crime will stall. In fact, generally in a case like this, it's better for the child to not be around the parent. And in this case, because mom and grandma and grandpa apparently don't understand that the kids are better off around, not around Josh, I feel like this could potentially backfire because the judge in this case, who knows Josh Duggar's history, who knows that he's lying about how he didn't do those things to his sisters. Oh yeah, that's right. He's trying to lie that didn't happen or pretend like it didn't happen, even though it's on record. It's better, I believe, for the kids. And I think as hard as they want to make this seem like Anna is so destitute and she can't provide for herself, she's not going to struggle. She will be taken care of by Jim Bob and Michelle. Obviously, they're not going to want to have to carry the load, but at the end of the day, they will. And Anna, you know what? You can get a job. You could still live on the Duggar compound and you could get to work. You could get some education. There's nothing preventing you from being dependent on a man like Josh. In fact, this would be a good opportunity for you to learn more about yourself and your capabilities. But using this as a way to get a reduced sentence and significantly ignoring the fact that there was children that were a part of this case is really disheartening and kind of disturbing. And I think the Duggars are just utterly clueless about the entire situation. That's just my opinion. Now I better understand why Anna's letter was the way it was, why Michelle's letter was the way it was. But I agree with Amy here. Just because Josh is not Just because Josh is charismatic, that doesn't negate the fact that he also has a really, really sinister side that does make your skin crawl. And because he has this attraction to minors, he's better away from his kids. And I have a sense that the judge in this case is going to agree. The facts about Josh don't lie, even if he wants to ignore all of the elephants in the room of what he's done and who he is. Just because he wasn't charged doesn't mean that he was a good person before he got caught. He was just good at covering up, and he had a lot of enablers in his life that helped him cover it up. And I fear if they give him a reduced sentence, he's going to go back into the same patterns and continue on in that same trajectory and just get better at hiding. I don't think he can be reformed, and I agree with the prosecutors in this case. I don't see Judge Brooks giving him a 5-year sentence. I actually see him going on the higher end. Judge Brooks has yet to rule on the motion to dismiss or the acquittal or the dismissal of a charge. And part of me is starting to wonder if he is even considering not dismissing one of those charges or doing some more research to find out if he can use both of those charges. I mean, wouldn't it be amazing if at sentencing we find out it's not double jeopardy and that 30 years could actually be the most? I mean, wouldn't that be wild if that happened? Part of me is like, oh my gosh, could this happen? I don't know. But for now, this is what I have. I know that's a pipe dream. I know it's not logical. I'm going to hope for 20 years. I don't think he's going to get 5. All right, you guys, tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Bye.